Alright guys, today we're going to have a look at the rogue changes for Shadowlands and 9.0. Please do keep in mind that this is beta, so some things are subject to change as Blizzard does some updates. And a lot of the information is scattered, so these are only the things that we could find. But we've put it together in one place and hopefully you guys like it. Let's get into it. So first up we have got Shiv, which is obviously the old PvP talent. It has been removed as a PvP talent and it is now baseline for all rogues. What it will do is it will attack, dealing 20% of attack power damage as physical, and apply a concentrated form of your non-lethal poison. We also have a new poison called Numbing Poison. This will make each strike have a 50% chance of poisoning the enemy, clouding their mind and slowing their attack and casting speed by 15% for 10 seconds. A fair few spells have been removed from spec specific and are now baseline for all specs, so we'll go through them now. There is Ambush, there is Evasion, there is Eviscerate, there is Kidney Shot, there is Riposte, there is Rupture, now available to Assassination and Subtlety. Slice and Dice is also available to all specs. Let's get on to the next part, which will be Crimson Vial changes. So with that, you now heal for 20% of your health instead of 30% of your health, but it is over 4 seconds instead of 6. So it still does equate to the same amount of healing every second. It simply just only lasts for 4 seconds. And it will now cost 20 energy instead of 30. Pickpocketing has had a weird change. So pickpocketing now gives you a chance to upgrade your Crimson Vial. We don't know what that means yet, but that could potentially mean that when you go on stealth, you pickpocket a mob, you could get a buff to your Crimson Vial. It could be permanent, it could be temporary, it could put it back to how it was before. We're not too sure, so we'll see what happens there with that. Cheap Shot will now award 1 combo point instead of 2. Sap's range has been increased to 10 yards from 8. Sprint's cooldown has been reduced by 60 seconds. Wound Poison and Crippling Poison now have a 30% chance to apply instead of a 50% chance to apply. With Wound Poison, it will also reduce the healing that the target receives by 8% for 12 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. As for talents, Alacrity is available to all specs. That's it for the generic changes. Let's have a look at Assassination. So Deadly Poison has also had its proc chance reduced to 30% down from 50. Improved Poisons now increases the application chance of all poisons by 20% and applies them to your weapons 33% faster. Also in Stealth, you'll have a 100% chance to apply your lethal and non-lethal poisons. So this basically just puts the poisons back up to the 50% that they were before. Slight mastery change here, so your base mastery has been increased by 14%, which will just increase the base damage of your poisons and bleeds. As Assassination, Shiv will also increase the nature damage done against the target by 20% for 9 seconds. Sinister Strike's energy cost has been reduced by 5. Slice and Dice as Assassination will also increase your attack speed by an additional 20%, and Wound Poison can now stack up to 2 additional times as Assassination. We'll put the attack power changes on the screen now. There's not too many for Assassination. So let's move on to talents. So Crimson Tempest is now capped to 8 enemies. Toxic Blade has been removed, and Blindside is a new talent. This will give your mutilates a 20% chance to make your next ambush free and usable without stealth. The chance is increased to 40% if the target is under 35% health. That's it for Assassination. Let's move on to Outlaw. So Between the Eyes will no longer stun the target. Instead, it will increase the critical strike chance against the target by 20%. Also, when you critically strike with Between the Eyes, it will deal 4 times normal damage. Blade Flurry has had a bit of a rework here, so now it will instantly strike up to 5 targets for 120% of your attack power damage as physical damage, and for the next 12 seconds, your single target attacks will strike up to 4 nearby enemies for 50% of their normal damage, and it has a 30-second cooldown. Now with Evasion, when you dodge attack, it will trigger your Mastery. For Grappling Hook, its cooldown has been reduced by 15 seconds. Restless Blade will now also reduce the cooldown of Blade Flurry, Grappling Hook, and Roll the Bones. And Roll the Bones has had a bit of a rework, so it will no longer be a finishing move. Instead, it just has a simple 30-second cooldown, and it will grant you a random combat enhancement. The enhancements are still the same as they always have been though. We'll put the attack power changes up on the screen now for you to take a look at, and we'll move into talents. So Killing Spree is now capped to 4 targets. Retractable Hook will now reduce the cooldown of Grappling Hook by 15 seconds. Since 15 seconds has already been removed in the baseline, it pretty much remains the same, and its retraction speed has also been increased. Slice and Dice has been removed as a talent since it is now baseline, and there is a new talent called Dreadblades. Dreadblades is a bit of an interesting one. So it has a 1.5 minute cooldown and it makes all of your generating combo spells instantly generate 5 combo points. However, when you spend them, so your finishing spells, you'll consume 5% of your current health. So it's a bit interesting to see how it works. It's kind of like Combust for a fire mage. You just alternate build a spender, build a spender, build a spender. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. That's it for Outlaw. Let's move on to Subtlety. So there is a new spell called Shadow Vault. This is a finishing spell that will spray a shuriken at up to 8 nearby targets. You can see the damage displayed on the screen there. It also deals increased damage to targets who are affected by Find Weakness. So with Backstab, your Backstab's critical strikes will apply Find Weakness for 6 seconds. As you guys probably guessed, Find Weakness is now baseline, so Cheap Shot and Shadow Strike will flaw in your target's defense, causing your attacks and spells to bypass 30% of the enemy's armor for 18 seconds. So Eviscerate will now deal 50% bonus shadow damage to targets who have Find Weakness active. Deepening Shadows will now reduce the cooldown of Shadow Dance by 1 second per combat point spent instead of 1.5 seconds. Shadow Techniques now also has a chance to grant you 1 combo point. Shuriken Storm is capped at 8 targets and its attack power has been modified. It will also apply Find Weakness to the target for 6 seconds. Symbols of Death will now also cause your next combo point generator to critically strike. Sprint, you can now run over water. Also, Energetic Recovery and Nightblade have been removed. Let's look at talents now. So Dark Shadow will now increase your damage dealt while Shadow Dance is active by 30%, up from 25%. Gloomblade, when you critically strike with this ability, you will apply Find Weakness for 6 seconds. Secret Technique is now capped to 6 enemies. So there's a new talent called Premeditation. So after entering stealth, your next Shadow Strike will grant up to 10 seconds of Slice and Dice and generate 2 additional combat points if Slice and Dice is active. And that's pretty much it for the PvE changes. Let's have a look at PvP. So as we said at the start of the video, Shiv has been removed as a PvP talent and is now baseline for all specs, so that's obviously no longer a PvP talent. Also, Deadly Brew is a new PvP talent. The tooltip states that it will apply poison until cancelled and reduced healing by 0%, but they're placeholders, so we don't really know what's going to happen with this, so we'll see kind of how that plays out when they update. So let's move on to Covenants. So as everyone knows by now, Covenants will grant you 2 abilities. There is a Covenant-wide ability and a class-wide ability. So let's start with Kyrian. The Covenant-wide ability is Summon Steward. Summon Steward will bring forth a Vial of Serenity that can be consumed to restore 20% of your health and remove all curses, disease, poisons, and bleed effects. It'll also give you access to a shop and change your talents and things like that. So the class-wide ability is Echoing Reprimand. Well, this is an ability that will give you a combo point number when you use a finishing spell that costs the same amount as this Anima Charge. It will deal damage as if it consumed 7 combo points instead. And it will also award 3 combo points when you use this ability. It does have a 45-second cooldown though. Let's have a look at Night Fae. So the Covenant-wide ability is Soul Shape. Soul Shape will turn you into a Vulpin, teleporting you forward 15 yards and increasing your movement speed by 50%. While in this form, you can blink every 4 seconds and it will last for 12 seconds or indefinitely if you're in a rested area. So the class-wide ability is Sepsis. What this will do is put a 10-second debuff on the target, dealing some damage as well as granting you Vanish when the duration expires. If the target dies before the duration expires, it will reduce the cooldown of this ability by 60 seconds. It has a 1.5 minute cooldown as baseline. Let's move on to Venthia. So the Covenant-wide ability is Door of Shadows. This will wend through the shadows, appearing at the targeted location. So it's a teleport. So the class-wide ability is Slaughter. This is a poison that you can put on your weapon, but to use it you have to be stealthed. So you will stealth, you'll walk up to an enemy, use it, and it will put a 5-minute buff on your weapon, which you can then run around with and hit, and it will spread the poisons to everybody. As you deal damage with this poison, it will steal 15% of the healing done to the target, and it will also award 2 combo points. Let's move on to Necrolord. So the Covenant-wide ability is Fleshcraft. This will be a 4-second cast that puts an Absorb Shield on you equal to 20% of your maximum health. If you cast it near an enemy corpse, it will go up to 50% of your maximum health instead. So for the class-wide ability, we have got Serrated Bone Spike. This is probably the most interesting Covenant ability we've tested yet. What this does, it has 3 charges, and each charge will put a dot on your target, and that dot will be permanent or until the target dies. So you can pretty much spread this out on at least 3 targets, and as you get recharges you can put it out on even more. So you can put it on your 4th, your 5th, your 10th if people are living that long. And every time you use it, you will get 1 combo point per bone shard that you have out. So if you have it out on 5 targets, whenever you use this ability, you'll instantly get 5 combo points. So it's really interesting kind of how that works. And as it's a permanent buff, I'm not too sure how the scaling is going to go in PvP and whether people can just spread it and kite things. So we'll see what happens there, but it is, yeah, it's quite fun. And that's pretty much it for the chains we could find. If you'd like to download any of the class recalls we use in this video, we'll provide a link down below. You can check me out on Twitch for more Shadowlands content. I'll put a link down there as well. Thanks heaps for watching. See you later.